and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Erin. I'm 24 years old and I help women in their 20s be better with their money. You can find me over on TikTok and Instagram. I have a reach of over 300,000 followers where I teach young women how to budget, save, invest. Today, I am giving you guys a complete breakdown of my net worth. Over the past 4 years, I've grown my net worth from negative 15K all the way to over 100K. Between the time of January 2022 and about August of 2023, I have made net worth update videos every single month on TikTok and Instagram, breaking down my net worth journey, taking my net worth from, again, negative 15K to over 100K. At the beginning of 2023, I set myself a goal to cross the 100K net worth mark, and I wanted to accomplish this by the end of 2023. At the time, I thought this was like a pretty big stretch for my net worth goal, but I ended up hitting my goal literally 5 months early by the end of July. In this video, we'll be breaking down what your net worth is, why it's important, where my net worth started versus where it is now, how I grew my net worth, and tips for setting your net worth goals. So let's get into it. First, let's break down what your net worth is and why it's important for building wealth in your 20s. Your net worth is the difference between your assets and your liabilities, and it's a good indicator of what your wealth position is. If you have more liabilities, so more debt than you do assets, then your net worth will be negative. Now, this isn't always an indication that you're terrible with your money. For example, if you have, let's say, a mortgage, there's a good chance that your net worth will be negative because the loan amount, so the amount that you still have left to pay back to the bank, is on the liability side of your net worth equation. That gets into an entire separate conversation on good debt versus bad debt, leverage, and using other people's money to actually build your wealth. But let's talk through some categories that would fall into the asset side of the equation and also the liability side of the net worth equation. On the asset side of your personal balance sheet, this would be the sum of all of your assets. So think the money sitting in your checking and savings accounts, balances of all of your different investment accounts, home equity, car equity, any other income producing assets that you own. And then on the liability side, this would be the sum of all of your debts. So think credit card debt, auto loans, mortgages, personal loans. All of this together makes up your personal balance sheet. And the difference between what's on the asset side and what's on the liability side makes up your personal net worth. When I first started my net worth journey on TikTok in January of 2022, here is what my personal balance sheet looked like. On the asset side, my assets consisted of money sitting in my high yield savings account, money in my Roth IRA investment account, and also a little bit of money in my 401k. At this time, I was only about 6 months post-college, so I was like super new into the corporate world. So I was only working a full-time job for a couple of months. I wasn't making any additional income outside of my salary. And at this time, I've been interested in the personal finance space for about 3 years. So I started saving and investing around the age of 20, about 3 years prior to this. First, for my high yield savings account, I had a little over $21,000 sitting in my high yield savings account. Again, I was super diligent about saving in college after I learned about personal finance. I worked a ton in college and was saving a ton of money. I had about $13,000 sitting in my Roth IRA. Again, I opened this account and started investing a little bit into it around the age of 20. And then the year that I graduated from college, I started maxing out the account. So I had a little over $13,000 sitting in it. And then my 401k was just a little over $2,000. Again, at this time, I wasn't too far into my like corporate career, so I didn't have a lot of time to be contributing to my 401k. Then on the liability side, I had a little over $38,000 worth of student loans and $11,000 worth of a car loan. So all of that brought my net worth to around negative $15,000. Now, fast forward to today, I'm filming this in September of 2023, so a little over a year and a half later. Here is what my current net worth position looks like. Now on the asset side, my assets are made up of the money sitting in my high yield savings account, 3 different investment accounts, including my Roth IRA, a traditional brokerage account, and also a 401k. And then last, my business account is on here as well. After I can talk through what I do for work, but essentially I am a full-time business owner now, which is why a lot of my assets are also in a business account. For my high yield savings account, I have a little over $15,000 sitting in that account. This is made up of my emergency fund and then also a few sinking funds. I have about $22,000 sitting in my Roth IRA. I am not able to continue to contribute to this account anymore. The Roth IRA does have an income limit and I am currently over that income limit, so I technically can't contribute to this account anymore. Since January of 2022, I've also opened up a taxable brokerage account. This is a non-retirement investing account that has less rules on how much you can invest within the account and also less rules on when you can withdraw the money. So I have about $20,000 sitting in there. And then for my 401k, I have about $24,000 sitting in my 401k. However, as of May 2022, I did walk away from my corporate job to do my business full time, so I can no longer contribute to my 401k. By the end of 2023, I'll be setting up a solo 401k, which is for people who are self-employed. So I will be able to contribute to a 401k after I get that set up. And then I have about $36,000 sitting in my business account. This does not include the amount that I have set aside to pay for taxes. And this brings my total assets to about $120,000. Then on the liability side, you can see that I only have a car loan now. Over the last year and a half, I was able to pay off all $38,000 worth of my student loans. And by the end of this year, I want to tackle this entire car loan as well. Taking my assets minus my liabilities, that brings my total net worth to $113,774. There were a few things that contributed to me being able to take my net worth from negative $15,000 to over $100,000 in that short amount of time. First, like I said, I did start a business and I do that full time now, but it didn't start out this way. This started out in the beginning of 2022 just as a side hustle on top of my corporate 9-to-5 job. And just recently, within the last few months in 2023, I was able to make this my full-time gig. I'm a social media management freelancer full-time now, and that has been able to completely replace my full-time salary plus some. Honestly, making a lot more than I did in my corporate kind of entry-level role. But I did do both simultaneously for about a year and a half, and that contributed to me being able to increase my income exponentially. Obviously, having essentially 2 full-time jobs does make me earn a lot more, which made me be able to hit my net worth goals so much quicker. Second, and this one is really important, I stayed super diligent about budgeting and tracking my spending even though I was increasing my income. I think people believe that once they start making a lot more money that all of their money problems will go away, but you need to be good at managing the money that you already have before you worry about increasing your income, because if you don't, then when you increase your income, your poor money habits will still follow you. I got super good at budgeting and tracking my spending in college when I didn't have a lot of extra money. So when I did eventually increase my income, I kept those good money habits with me and was able to really crush my financial goals. I have been using this budget template for the past 2 years to budget and track my spending and reflect on whether I was actually hitting my budget. And this has made such a difference in me being able to stay on top of my finances. I do have this template available for download. I'll put the link in the caption. And third, I got very intentional with setting financial goals. It's really hard to save and invest and pay down debt when you don't really know what you're working towards. At the beginning of 2023, I set the goal of crossing the 100K net worth mark. And I think that was really important for me being able to hit this goal because it forced me to sit down and be like, okay, if I want to cross the 100K mark by the end of 2023, how much do I need to save and invest and pay off on my debt in order to be able to hit that goal in that time frame? If you aren't setting goals, it's going to be really challenging to make financial progress. And there is my complete breakdown on my net worth journey going from negative 15K to 100K so far in my 20s. Let me know in the comments, what are your biggest pain points when it comes to growing your net worth? And make sure to subscribe for more money tips for your 20s.